4.1 Findings. The study of statistics can be categorized into two branches. These branches are descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. So, descriptive statistics gives information that describes the data in some manner. It helps organize, analyze, and present data in a meaningful way. It is used to describe a situation. The function of descriptive statistics is that it helps to explain the data which is already known. Descriptive data is basically used to summarize it and turn raw material into a visualization, such as a graph or anything numerical, with the help of charts, tables, to help represent the data accurately. Next, you have inferential statistics. So this type of statistic focuses on drawing conclusions about the population on the basis of the sample analysis and observations. It compares tests and predicts data. This form of the final result provided by inferential statistics is probability. It attempts to reach the conclusion to learn about the population, which exceeds beyond the data ability.
The parametric test is also one of the hypothesis testing approach which provides the conclusions on the hypothesis statements about the mean of the parent population. One of the common applications is the t-test, which applies on students' t-statistics. The t-statistics relies on one or more pre-assumptions that the mean and other variables in the normal distributions are assumed to be known beforehand. The population's variance is obtained and computed from the sample dataset. The variables of interest are estimated in the populations are represented in an interval scale. On the other hand, the non-parametric test is a type of hypothesis test which does not base on underlying assumptions. In other words, the population's distribution is not required to be expressed by certain specific parameters. This test is applied when differences in medians occurs in datasets. Therefore, it is commonly also known as the distribution-free test. Since this test is applied when the independent variables are non-metric, the variables of the distributions are assumed and measured on either nominal or ordinal level. The following table shows the hypothesis test of the mean and median.
For the background of respondents, there were 400 surveys have been collected. The data of the respondents were asked in the study that included sexual orientation, age, race, grades, nationality and school. For gender, there are a total of 194 respondents and 206 female respondents. For semesters, 30 respondents that are from first semester, 55 from second semester. Next, there are 52 respondents from third semester, 88 respondents from fourth semester, 101 from their fifth semester, 61 from sixth semester, 5 respondents on their seventh semester, and the last 2 of the respondents on their eighth semester. For School of Study, there are 147 respondents who are studying arts, 135 from business, 118 from engineering. For age, majority of respondents are 19 years old. For race, majority of respondents are Indians and Malays who are 101 respondents respectively. For students, there are 126 respondents are local students, 274 respondents are international. For nationality, there are 275 respondents from Malaysia, 125 respondents are international students. For grades, the highest CGPA is 2.6 to 3.0, the lowest is 2.0, the second highest is from 3.1 to 3.5.
And for chapter 4, which is 4.3, objective 1 is to evaluate the survey of newspaper readership among the college youth. Objective 4.3, objective 1 is all about the percentage of how many people strongly disagree and agree of the total questions that has been given to them. For an example, the first question was people from different races will choose different language of newspaper. 90% of them strongly disagree. 5.5% of them disagree, 9.75% was neutral, 17% was strongly agree, 49.5% was agree, and the total questionnaire was given was 100. Thank you.
4.4 hypothesis testing. So we are using SPS to get our result in format t-test and ANOVA. So based on the ANOVA, our objective 1, gender has no significant relationship towards newspaper leadership survey. So based on the table 4.4.1, the significance of all the statements above are higher than 0.05 except questions VAR 00021. So which is P is smaller than 0.5. This is show gender has not significant relationship towards newspaper leadership survey. The hypothesis is accepted due to 4 out of 5 questions P is bigger than 0.5. Thus, hypothesis 1 was proved to be effective. So based on our objective 2 is about races. So based on the result that given from ANOVA, races has not significant relationship towards newspaper leadership survey. Because table 4.4.2, the significance of VAR 0005 and 00008 above are higher than 0.05. But questions VAR 002 and 003 is P is smaller than 0.5. So this is show races has no significant relationship towards newspaper leadership. The hypothesis 2 is accepted due to 2 out of 4 questions P is bigger than 0.5. Thus, hypothesis 2 are proved to be ineffective. So we continue our objective 3 is about education level. So based on the ANOVA result, they show me education level has significant relationship towards newspaper leadership survey. Because table 4.4.3 show that significance of all the statements above the higher than 0.05. The hypothesis is accepted due to P is bigger than 0.5. Therefore, hypothesis 3 is approved to be valid. So the last one, objective is 4. It's about age. So table 4.4 show the significance of the statement above the higher than 0.05. This show age has significant relationship toward newspaper leadership survey. The hypothesis is accepted due to P is smaller than 0.5. Therefore, hypothesis 4 is proven to be valid.
Chapter 4.5 Conclusion. So in conclusion, this research statistics consists of 400 respondents. 4 objectives and 4 hypotheses have been stated and proven. The 4 hypotheses, which is gender, race, age and educational level, from which race and gender have no significant relationship towards newspaper readership survey, while as age and educational level have a significant relationship towards newspaper readership survey.
For the objective discussion, the first objective of our research is to evaluate readership of the newspapers between different races. Based on the 5 questions in the questionnaire, 4 out of 5 statements have been agreed and 1 statement disagreed by the majority. It concluded that newspaper is a part of a community's character. The literature names Ethnic Identity and News Media by Zaid Adrin Ahmad Ismail support this objective, as it is said that each race preferring certain newspapers. Second objective is to determine the relationship between the newspaper and the different age group of youngsters. There are 5 statements for this objective. Majority of strongly agreed to all the 5 statements. It shows that the college youths from different age group prefer reading magazines than newspapers, and the majority agreed that newspapers do not have unique contents that attract youngsters. The literature that support for this objective is the demographic of newspaper readership, which highlights the relationship between newspaper readership and the age. The third objective is to examine the impact of the educational level on newspaper. Based on 5 statements for this objective, majority strongly agreed on all the 5 statements. It has proved that the higher the educational level of a person, the more the newspaper they read. The last objective to assess the usage of the newspaper among different genders. Lastly, for final objective, there were 5 statements which majority have strongly agreed to all the statements. It has concluded that males read more newspapers than females.
Now, I'm going to discuss about the hypothesis in our study. Hypothesis 1. There is a significant relationship between gender and the newspaper readership among college youth in Malaysia. From the table, it clearly shows that majority of the male and female agree with the statement. It represents that college youth in Malaysia believe that Malaysians, regardless of gender, will read different newspaper and read newspaper from publications of respective races. Thus, there is no significant relationship between gender and newspaper readership among college youth in Malaysia. Therefore, the hypothesis is unaccepted. Hypothesis 2. There is no significant relationship between race and the newspaper readership among college youth in Malaysia. From the result, we can conclude that internet is an essential source for students in college when it comes to information searching. Newspaper, the print media, seems to be old-fashioned for students in this era. As mentioned earlier, students nowadays no longer interested in reading newspaper. Therefore, they will be more likely to focus on the headline rather than into the details. From Table 5.4, 265 of college youth from respective races show a sense of agreement to this statement. College youth are focused more on the headlines than going into the details, since both results shows that the options for strongly agree is highly selected by the students, which means that race has no significant relationship towards the newspaper readership among college youth in Malaysia. Hypothesis 3. There is a significant relationship between age and the newspaper readership among college youth in Malaysia. Based on the result presented in Table 5.5, the options for strongly agree has been highly selected by the college youth aged between 18 to 21, whereas only 39 of college youth aged from 22 to 25 agree with the statement, "I only read newspaper when suggested by lecturer." It indicates that elder students are more willing to read newspaper than the younger students in college. Even though majority of the younger students in college may not willing to read newspaper, however, they believe that read newspaper can improve their language skill and vocabulary. The options of agree and strongly agree are also highly selected by students from 18, 20, 21 and 22 years old, whereas there are 21 of students from 23 to 25 years old agree with the statement. Since the result shown is not average, hence there is a significant relationship between age and the newspaper readership among college youth in Malaysia. Hypothesis 4. There is a significant relationship between education level and the newspaper readership among college youth in Malaysia. From Table 5.8, it shows that the higher the CGPA a person is, the more they think it is important for a newspaper to cover entertainment news. However, there are only 16 over 37 students from CGPA below 2.6 agree with the statement. It represents that not all students consider entertainment news as an important section in a newspaper. While in Table 5.8, the result shows that there are 235 out of 400 students agree with the statement. Headlines like raping and baby abortions will get more female readers to read a newspaper. The result shown in the table was not average. Some of them still think that it is not important. For example, 46 students whose CGPA is 2.6 to 3.0 disagree and strongly disagree with the statement, whereas there are only 2 students disagree with the statement. Therefore, there is a significant relationship between education level and newspaper readership among college youth in Malaysia.
3.5 Discussions of Research Theory. Theory 1, gender difference would affect the newspaper leadership survey. So based on this result, we discovered that gender has no significant relationship towards newspaper leadership survey, and the hypothesis 1 was proven to be ineffective. Hence, it means Theory 1 was indirect rejection. And we discovered that gender difference does not affect newspaper leadership survey. It prove that men and women have the same perception and view of society, and there is no question that men are more likely to read newspaper than women are. So we continue theory 2. Leadership survey of the newspaper affected by different races. So based on the result, hypothesis 2 is not valid. It means theory 2 also rejected. Race difference has no important relationship with newspaper leadership survey. Even though different races has their own culture, but it does not matter with newspaper leadership survey. Every races have the same perception and view of society, no matter what races you are. So as long as they live in the same area, they are care as much about the news language will not barrier to their reading. So now is theory 3. Education level would impact newspaper leadership survey. Education level has significant relationship with newspaper leadership survey. So hypothesis 3 is proven to be valid. It proves the higher education people prefer to read newspaper. And reading newspaper is their main source to get information and current news, no matter domestic news and international news. So the last one theory is theory 4, leadership survey of the newspaper affected by age. Newspaper leadership survey has significant relationship toward age. It means hypothesis 4 is proven to be valid. It means theory 4 accepted in this survey. Different research have indirect effect towards newspaper leadership. In 21st century, traditional print media is eliminating day by day. The younger age group are more prefer online news more than newspaper. Instead, the older age group rely on traditional print media, that is newspaper. So that is a fact.
And also chapter 5, which is all about social implication. As the world is modernizing, newspaper are becoming an important thing in humans' lives. Not only they benefit newspaper for reading, most of them are also using it for the needs. For an example, they use the newspaper for the purpose of study, assignments, and so on. Basically, newspaper are crucial into this life. This research is very beneficial for the students. It helps them to know either they are into reading or not. Besides, this research is also important for families as they would know the benefits of a newspaper. Furthermore, through this survey, students and lecturers are likely to use newspapers to gain more knowledge around them.
Chapter 5.6 Social Implication. The social implication for this research is beneficial to various aspects in the society. The newspaper has been and still is the most convenient way to convey local, regional, national, and international news. The research shows us the final statistics of the percentage of young adults that are still attracted to the newspaper. Overall, in today's generation, newspapers can be used as a first-hand verified source for references and examples.
Based on the finding of the study, majority of the students think that vernacular newspapers are mainly read by the respective races. This is because Malaysia's media make it a practice to target audiences and create niches according to racial line and language. Besides that, majority of the college youth from different races agree that internet is their main source of information. Since information tend to be one of the most important commodities in today's society, new technology allows citizens to have indirect access to any information at any time. Furthermore, the result also shows that the elder the student is, the more willing is the students to read the news. In Hassan's study, he stated that newspaper reading habits is typically firmly established by the time a person reaches 25 to 30 years old. On the other hand, from the results, we can conclude that the higher the education level a person is, the more newspaper they need. This is because people with higher education level are more likely to take the initiative to read newspaper, which can improve their knowledge of what is going on around them.